Have you ever noticed that when stress rises, your body reaches for connection in ways that don't quite feel like your own? Maybe you have used sex to calm a partner's anger, to feel chosen when shame was loud, to keep a relationship from falling apart. Maybe you have said yes before checking whether you meant yes. These patterns are not character flaws. They are the fawn response, the fourth survival strategy, alongside fight, flight, and freeze. And for many survivors of complex trauma, fawning becomes deeply entangled with sexuality. Psychologist and trauma expert Pete Walker coined the term fawn response to describe what happens when a child trapped in an unsafe environment learns that the safest way to survive is to please, to appease, to placate. When a child cannot fight, cannot flee, and cannot freeze, they learn to disappear into service. When that child grows up, their nervous system may still reach for the same tools, and for some, the most powerful tool becomes sex. Here is what research tells us about why this happens. When humans face threat, their bodies release oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone. In a healthy environment, this drives a child to run toward a caregiver for comfort. But when that caregiver is the source of danger, a devastating equation takes hold. Connection equals survival. Safety equals pleasing. Dr. Ingrid Clayton, a clinical psychologist and author of the book Fawning, describes it this way. Fawning occurs when we draw closer to a person or relationship that causes us pain instead of pulling away, because we sense it would be unsafe to fight back, flee, or freeze. Fawners, she writes, can turn to sex as a form of currency. We please, appease, and shapeshift into the ultimate form of desire, often at real cost to our physical bodies, self-esteem, and values. This is not manipulation, this is survival. As Clayton notes, most were not desperate for sex as much as they were desperate for safety. The goal is not sexual gratification. The goal is to survive. For survivors raised in religious environments, this pattern is often amplified by purity culture, a widespread phenomenon that codifies rigid gender roles and sexual scripts as moral absolutes. A 2025 study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine examined the impact of purity culture on women's sexual well-being. Researchers found that exposure to purity culture beliefs during childhood was significantly associated with increased sexual shame, and that sexual shame predicted a large portion of sexual satisfaction. In other words, the teachings themselves, apart from any experience of abuse, can create lasting harm. Purity culture teaches that a person's worth depends on their sexual purity, that their body is inherently dangerous or sinful, and that they lose their value if they step outside rigid rules. These messages do not simply fade with time. They become woven into the nervous system, shaping how survivors experience intimacy, desire, and their own bodies. When fawning and purity culture meet, the result is often a deep split. The body performing what it has learned will keep the peace, while the self watches from a distance, numb or ashamed. So what does this look like in daily life? Fawners who turn to sex as a survival strategy often describe faking orgasms to make their partner feel satisfied, having sex when they feel numb or disconnected, feeling resentful afterward but not knowing why. They may use sex to avoid conflict or to make up after arguments. They may believe their greatest value lies in their body or sexual performance. They may pretend to be what a partner wants while their true self hides. Dr. Clayton shares her own experience. Having been sexualized by my stepfather in puberty, my sexuality became intrinsically tied to my worth. It often felt like my only power or the sole sure path to acceptance. This is textbook fawning. Our trauma teaches us that connection is protection, even when it keeps us in harmful relational dynamics. The result is a chronic pattern of boundary violations, confusion about consent, and a profound disconnect between what the body is doing and what the self actually wants. This is not weakness. It is the legacy of a body that learned to survive by disappearing. Here is what we want you to hear. You are not broken. Your body learned what it had to learn to survive. The fawn response develops in situations where a child is trapped with a perpetrator, and fight, flight, or freeze will not succeed. It is an adaptive survival style aimed at making an unsafe situation bearable. It is biology. It is not pathology. Healing does not mean you stop wanting sex or connection. It means you get to reclaim your body as your own. As Dr. Clayton writes, the process of unfawning is a paradigm shift. It's not about never fawning. Instead, unfawning is an expansion. We are broadening our vision to see more choices and have greater flexibility. As we expand, we can finally break free of old narratives and patterns that once defined our lives. We gain access to our bodies and our own authority over them, decide what we want or don't, find the internal safety to say, "No thank you," and mean it. If you are ready to go deeper into how complex trauma shapes your life, we have 2 videos that walk you through the next steps. Childhood trauma linked to adult procrastination, and how complex trauma shapes your life. We will link them in the description and in the comments below. Drop a comment if this resonated, and if you have not already, please subscribe for more compassionate, trauma-informed content. You are not your patterns, you are the one who survived them, and you can heal.